Hi, my name is Adam, and I am the founder of Test Squared. And today I want to give you a brief overview of the Amazon seller dashboard. This is the dashboard one uses when they sell on Amazon. This could be applicable if you're an existing retailer considering selling on Amazon, or if you're just new to the retail world in general and you're like, I got to go to Amazon. It's a huge marketplace. And the reason I'm sharing this is that at Test Squared, we receive a lot of questions about this, primarily from novice sellers. So again, it's a real broad stroke. So there's going to be things that aren't applicable and that are applicable. But the objective is to help you and to answer a lot of those questions and demystify the platform. This is not scripted. I'm going to sort of stream of conscious kind of freestyle this a little bit, so there'll be a little bit of back and forth. So just set the stage a little bit before you even start talking about Amazon Seller Central. If you're new to retail, something you really want to consider doing is everything right from the start. So if that means for you starting an LLC, making sure you register the beneficial ownership item with the federal government, collecting your EIN, getting a trademark, getting a copyright. I found that was very helpful for me. I had two businesses on Amazon. One's Alpine Dam. You can see the ghost of that. I ran that from 2016 to 2020 while working full time. That was an FBA product that's fulfilled by Amazon. So it was picked, packed, and shipped out of Amazon warehouses. These little barcodes on it, those are UPC codes. And being an FBA seller with Alpine Dam helped me break into retail very effectively because I had to be super organized. I was using the UPC barcodes. You get those from a company called GS1. Amazon also has their own mechanism for that. I did another company called California Vitality, which we're actually going to look at today. And that was sort of a model to validate Test Squared. And Test Squared is a platform that helps verified product testers for Amazon brands specifically right now. Helps them get the verified purchase, and then our testers have an option to leave a review. So we put within the rules within Amazon. But today is really the dashboard. So even before we start, if you're thinking about this, you really want your ducks in a row, ideally with the company's organization, and find and use. It doesn't have to be in the vertical you're selling in. It could be a company that you admire that sells on Amazon that's highly organized. It seems really buttoned up because a lot of times these companies are smaller than what they appear to be. All right, super. So you've decided to sell on Amazon. You're going to log into the dashboard. And if you've never seen this before, it's a little overwhelming. So what I want to show to you specifically is the product listing page, how to list a product, what goes into the product listing, why it's important, and then talk a little bit about the being a brand on Amazon and being a brand registrant specifically. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is go to manage your inventory. And like a cooking show, a lot of this is going to be done in advance. And one of my favorite supplements that I sold was this supplement, Garcinia. It's an appetite suppressant. It's something we've supported as well, which is kind of fun. I know a lot about this. The reason I picked this supplement is because there's a high intent to buy when someone's looking for this product specifically. If they're looking for like appetite suppressant or weight loss or some other components like chromium, there's a ton of options out there, but the specificity of this is really attractive for me. I'm going to assume that you have the product you want to sell online or products, and you're really curious what the setup looks like. And then later on, I'll show you some of the sales and the ranking, all that kind of information historically. All right, again, this is a dormant account, so I think it's really good for demonstration purposes. So on the outside is the listing that we are all familiar with. You see it with the title and the descriptions. And just to kind of give a shout out here, I'm using a product called Helium 10, which I highly, highly recommend. And I'll probably create a second video on that at some point. It gives you not only metrics for your product and brand, but it gives you competitive metrics. And it does something that's really healthy or helpful. It's a listing health score, and it can analyze your listings or other listings. And it provides sort of a scoring mechanism, 1 to 10. My listing was a 9.7, and it tells you what you need to improve. So even when you're building a listing, you can put Helium 10 on top of it, and it just sort of gives you these tips and tricks to make it compliant. But you don't need to have that. is definitely nice to have. Amazon's going to help you walk through a lot of these components as well. But a lot of things that you may not have known, there's a lot of components that go into a high quality listing. It's 7 images, it's having videos, it's making sure the background's white, the title, specific characters. There's 5 bullet points, all the rigmarole. You obviously want a good rating, and you got to get your reviews. So with that, that's the outside of the listing. Now, when you're on the inside, you're going to go in here. If it's new, you would just create a new listing, but we're going to edit it in the spirit of our cooking show analogy here. When you start this, there's what's called a product detail page. It's the name, it's your brand. This is really important. I was alluding to this with having like a business, like a LLC, for instance, set up and the trademark. You're going to want to potentially register your brand and join the brand registry. I personally feel that it gives the brand significant more credibility, amount of credibility. I'm going to show you an example of that. The description. Now, this is where things, I should back up. Things get important at the name. These terms are going to come up when someone's searching for your product. Amazon has specific guidelines around this where you can't make any claims. It doesn't have to be a supplement, but you could be selling nails, so you can't say the sharpest nails. If you're a little careful with this, the guidelines are really straightforward, but when you're doing this, be thoughtful and deliberate. I'm a fan of having the brand name in there outside of the product name, and then being really specific about this. Again, no claims. The product description, also really important for what's going to happen when people are searching for the brand and obviously reading this. You have a specific number of characters you can use. Give yourself as a consumer. You don't want it to be too wordy. You're aiming for accuracy here. Same thing with the bullet points. Do your best to avoid any redundancy. Right now, the magic number of bullet points is 5. And now the generic keywords, these are the behind the scenes keywords. So you can get a little more creative and aggressive with these, for lack of a better term. There'll be words that people will search for that may or may not lead them to your listing. So for instance, with this one, people might be using weight loss to find it. There is like a trillion weight loss products, books, and different vehicles on Amazon. So would they really find this because of this? Because of that specific word? Probably unlikely, but I felt it was better to have it. And then a lot of other sort of fill in the blank forms that I'm not going to read you every single component. But when you're doing this, there's a little trick. There's these things called attributes. Start with required. It's what you need, recommended, and then all. I think that's really important to go through every single item and be meticulous as possible and take advantage of the ability to add content in there. It's only going to help you in the long run. Next most important item is going to be the images. Quality, quality, quality. I like Canva, not a commercial for Canva. I think it's just so easy to use. When I had Alpine Dam, I was doing everything in Photoshop. I'm not a designer. I was working full time. I ended up hiring someone to help me on the side. It was not fun. So the product images, this came from a manufacturer. I cleaned up the white space. And then the other one's actually made in Canva. I had a theme with California Vitality. Hopefully it speaks for itself. I really love this picture of this woman and expressing vitality through that. I like the neon, brighter and unconventional colors for the supplements in particular. I didn't feel like there was other brands out there doing that. There's some really great attributes that the supplements had, being made in the USA, being manufactured in a FDA facility, support with a supplement that is vegan, underlying that. I like the image of the Garcinia fruit specifically, if someone has never seen that before, to sort of understand the root of the supplement. And I was selling many supplements, so I had some sort of general advertisement in the image bank. And you'll see in the listing, I also have a video that I created with Canva, like super easy as an advertising vehicle as well. There's product variations. The offers, your price. I kind of want to pause here for a second, and some of it seems like it's common sense, just working out your margins. But when you sell on Amazon, if you're not familiar, there's 2 types of sellers. There's an FBA, it's fulfilled by Amazon. It's where they're going to pick, pack, and they're going to ship everything for you, which is really cool, and you'll understand the pricing. So pretend it's like $7. guidance will be. They'll do everything, but you have to get your product to those warehouses, and they're going to put requests in you of like how many items of a specific SKU they want at each warehouse. So it can kind of sort of stretch it out a little bit. If they carry the inventory, then obviously you have to sell the inventory. I mean, you're not using a drop shipper. And I did that with Alpine Dam with the hats. I got a little crazy, to be really frank, because I was working full time. We were in 7 states, got a little bonkers, but I had to be really, really, really buttoned up, sending the hats out from my manufacturer to the warehouses, making sure the UPC, the barcodes, the labels got on those things. The nice thing is with FBA, there was so much rigor. It was very, I'd say it's easy, but when I was working to penetrate retail, I was just so organized. I was so organized. I understood my inventory. I had everything cataloged. I knew my SKUs. I would set minimums. You couldn't order less than 12 hats because it would just make a mess of my inventory. And my retail partners, they had appreciated that. First, when you start out, you might not be able to sort of apply those rules, but think about FBA. But what's important is when you're putting your pricing together, FBA is that cost that Amazon's going to charge you to pick, pack, and ship. Then your potential advertising costs on Amazon or off of Amazon really back into that number. Like I'm going to spend like $1,000 a month, which would be kind of crazy, but I think it is for that product specifically. And then just backing that into the price, because you can crush your margins really quickly and sort of get caught up in this advertising game. And I'll talk about Amazon ads later on. The next option, if you're not familiar with it, it's fulfilled by merchant. That's actually what I used for California Vitality. I was having the vitamins sent from the manufacturer there in Utah and California, so nothing came through me. But there was an API set up. Someone would order on Amazon, they go to the manufacturer, they send it out. The disadvantage was the shipping time was not as quick as sending it from Amazon specifically. I was only in 1 state, so I didn't have that sort of geographic reach for expedited shipping. And if there's an error on shipping when you're fulfilled by merchant, Amazon sort of hits you over the head a little bit with that. Like, hey, you guys goofed up. Even if there's like a storm delay, there's sort of this appeals process. So you kind of have to manage that when you're using fulfilled by Amazon. FBA, if there's a problem, they take ownership of it. So there's a couple things to weigh for me, but it really came about managing the inventory. And with the vitamins, it was temporary because it was sort of used as a proof point before we started Test Squared, which is a software company. It's a review service, it's a product testing service. It's completely different, and the reviews are optional. It's not even really a review service. But California Vitality helped me validate that. I really didn't need to go to the extremes of FBA. And then the last area is safety and compliance, sort of the legalese on your products. This is something you really want to bulletproof, because people are litigious. We always don't have the kindest intentions out there. But really think about this and go slowly. And then when you're building these lists, even you think about, there are consultants out there that can help you. There are nefarious characters. There's a lot of get-rich-quick schemes. Just watch out for them. But there's really, really good partners. You can check like e-commerce, Coffee Break, Klaus is super over there. And there's other just nice people you can work with. But use your judgment. And then if you haven't done this before, when you are registering your business and your trademark and your copyright, all that information goes into the public domain. So all these people pop out of the woodwork sending you these goofy offers to help you. And again, just I kind of wish people would use their energy for good instead of trying to rip us off if we're just sort of working on a business. But I'll stop with that tangent. It just kind of drives me totally insane, obviously. So the next thing is the brand. Now, my brand is blank right now because everything is offline, but I am someone who actually clicks on the brand, and I really believe in a powerful and clean brand page. And I'm going to show you an example of this in a second. This was my brand page. It was actually a lot more robust at the time with the images and the product catalog. But if you don't have a brand page, when someone clicks on the brand, it just goes to another listing of products that may or may not be yours. So really, when you're doing about this, consider having a very strong brand page right from the start, even if it's one product, I think it adds a level of legitimacy to it. I'm going to give you a real life example. So this is going to be very exciting, but our washer door broke recently. And now, of course, everything's super complicated, has a sensor and a mechanism. I can replace this thing. So I look up the part. I go to Amazon. This isn't the actual one, but I think this illustrates it really well. So I find the part and I'm like, okay, cool. It's unavailable. I have to find another one, whatever. So I find another one, which I'm not going to show you. It was available. But when I click on a brand page, this company doesn't have a brand page. It just goes to this product listing. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that at all, but whatever. So you look for the part number, and here's the same part. It's sold by someone else. Looking at, okay, price seems pretty good. The reviews seem reasonable. Oh, by the way, there is a great site called Fake Spot where you can put Amazon reviews in it, or Amazon listings, and you can see if the reviews are fake. They give this academic grade. It is amazing. Really like it. And then obviously Amazon's going after the fake reviews and FTC and all this kind of stuff. I'm so glad they're finally policing this. But I was like, okay, here's the other product. You click on it. And this product, even though they're just selling these components, these household components, they have a spectacular brand page. I don't know where they got these images from. Potentially they hired a whole bunch of models and rent out a home. Maybe they got it from Canva. I have no idea. It is a high quality page. It just seems so legit to me. I just cannot stress the importance. And they're not even selling a million products. It just looks good. It just screams kind of like, hey, we care. But something to really consider. So when you're building out your Amazon account is to register what's called the brand registry and sort of taking those steps and building this page out. And again, I'll say it a million times. Be deliberate, go slow, do things the right way. It was going to make your life so much easier. All right, great. So we're going to go back to the main inventory page. So what I showed you earlier with the first supplements, you can add multiple supplements. And then you're going to come in here and you're going to have all of your inventory. You're going to be able to change your fulfillment amount, your price, the calculations. It's great. And then everything you want to do on Amazon is run through the center. And potentially, I think the last thing we'll talk about today are the Amazon ads. So you have these campaign managers. This is a pretty powerful tool because you can create, obviously, those ads within Amazon specifically for each individual SKU and the budget amount. And you can name the specific campaigns and you can measure the campaigns and how they work. And just to talk about that for a second, this can get really, really pricey very quickly. I think it's important for one reason. It's to gather data, like the keywords people are using to find your product. And you might start small potatoes like $5, $10, $15, $20 a day, whatever it's going to be. Even if it's not a lot, sometimes on these pages, it creates an opportunity for your listing to appear twice or appear pretty close together. Someone might skim over it. And we did a huge video on how to use the ad platform successfully. But just for today, because I want you to think about it when you're putting the price together for your product, is that how much money am I willing to spend on advertising without destroying my margins or going into debt? Because it is a very slippery slope. You can spend a lot of money really quickly, and it can almost feel like it turns into nuclear war. So some of the quick philosophies are you don't necessarily need to pay to be at the top of the ranking, because when people sort of skim through it, they will start to use the reviews, obviously. So you want to get on top of that. And TestSquared offers a product testing service where the tester makes a verified purchase on Amazon. They're reimbursed. They have an option to leave a review, which they have to disclose. So we're in line with the Amazon, the FD guidelines are really important. But getting that review and the initial traction is important. The other thing, just a quick caveat from the ads, when you launch your first listing, I told you it's a stream of conscious. It's kind of definitely kind of like a free flow for a scripted call, but when you put that listing out there, Amazon has something that's called a honeymoon period. It's believed to be 2 to 4 weeks. You're going to sort of have this optimal position in your category. That's what people believe. It's sort of alluded to by Amazon. You're a little bit more expert into this, but make sure your listing is really, really tight because you have this honeymoon period. And what you can do is, try to optimize your reviews as long as that's in the rules. Obviously, don't do any black hat junk. Don't get suspended over something like that. It's nonsensical. But with the ad campaign, I think it's important during this honeymoon period because you're in an optimal position. If you can get another image up, like you're optimizing the listing. So you want like a sponsored listing. So it's just your listing that's going to appear in a premium position with the organic listing. So it's kind of cool. So it's sort of like 2 hits. And then if you run videos, which I really, really like, especially with listings that are a little more eclectic. I ran a great one for this Garcinia product. Didn't cost a ton of money and got some nice traction off of it. And I just took a template from Canva and overlaid it. And that could be a whole other video too, sort of how to use that for Amazon. I had these 2 hits. I had this sponsored listing, this video, and then my organic. And I was able to gain some reviews pretty quickly. I was pretty fortunate in that regard. It really helped. But the secret sauce is just to have pretty much everything perfect. Again, I use Helium 10. I do have an affiliate partner of there, so I have an affiliate link in there if you want to check it out. There's other, just to let you know, if you're new to this, Jungle Scout's the other platform. I just prefer Helium 10. It just works a little bit better for me. And it's a big part of test work because I use it to evaluate potential customers all the time because we can't support everybody. But that's helpful when you're creating your listing. So I think I could have the longest video in the world or many videos about this, but in a nutshell, I really hope this helps you if you're beginning your journey selling on Amazon. Just to summarize it's to establish the legal entity for the business, trademark the copyright if necessary, and LLC if that's your thing specifically. Most of these things are fill in the blank forms. Just really watch out for those fraudulent websites. You have AI as your friend, which is really cool. Use a partner when you're looking at some of that. That's worked out well with me. And my second go around didn't exist when I started the hat business, but I was able to do it without that. And I'm not an attorney. And this certainly is not legal advice. And then when you get to the point to set up the Amazon account, is to make a decision if you're going to be FBA or FBM. You want to think about cooking in your shipping costs if you're FBM. No one likes to visibly think about paying for shipping. Realize the fulfilled by merchant FBM is normally slower shipping time than FBA. Some vendors can get really close to that. You can apply for Prime, your shipping partners, but it's not crazy complicated. It seems like it is. I think cutting time out in the day and dedicating it to your project, it's really helpful. And please don't rush. Don't feel like, oh, I'm going to miss this Prime Day, or I'm missing Cyber Monday or whatever. I'm missing the boat. It's better to do it right and not to have the perfect launch. And when you launch, one more thing about ads is also advertising off of Amazon. I love press releases. I think it's great. I like having sort of a corporate page. I've used Shopify in the past, but I also like Squarespace. I've also used because you can just link back to Amazon. They can, especially if you're FBA, they pick, pack, and ship. Shopify and Amazon together can get a little expensive, and driving people to that standalone website can be tough. So I think sometimes Squarespace, linking it to Amazon, is the best place to go. They have a blog element on it as well, so it helps with your link backs. But press release, anchoring your brand on sites like Crunchbase and LinkedIn, things like that to create the backlinks. So to create that, working with podcasters or people on YouTube to promote your brand is also really, because when people go out there and they Google it, you don't want it not to be found. You want to have some sort of web presence outside of Amazon, or at least I do. That's worked really well for me as well. But I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, you can just email me at adam@testsquared.com. If you ever want to check us out as a partner, of product tests and optional reviews that are disclosed, you'll see our guidelines are in line with Amazon and the FTC. That's really important to us. We're a compliance first company. Just, that'd be awesome. Appreciate that as well. If you want to be an affiliate partner, we have a really generous affiliate program. You could check that out. If you connect us with a brand, you actually earn $100 for each SKU they list on Test Squared, which is kind of fun. But yeah, when you do this, I think for me, being unconventional, being honest and transparent and deliberate has worked really well. So I wish you all the luck in the world, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.